I'm worried. I'm worried because I want you to win. But she's been leading in every single poll that's been taken. I can't find one in which you're leading. So what can be done in 12 days?
Well, you saw what happened in one night, and there are all kinds of things that are happening. But we have the poll, and she's not acting, by the way. Abigail Spanberger is not acting like she's 7 points ahead. You look at her, and she knows that her polls are telling her what our polls are telling us, that we're either -2, we're break even, or I'm up to. And that's why you see that she's doing all she's doing. She's pulling out all the stops. She's bringing everybody in the world that she thinks she will help her, but it won't help her because it really comes back down to common sense. It comes back down to she is not supportive of a different political side. You know, her nominee for Attorney General, Jay Jones, advocated for political murder. And she says what? She's disgusted. Is that all? She's disgusted about political murder. Well, yeah, she's not going to make it because the people of Virginia want somebody with a backbone and not cunning.
After that debate, she went on just the other day with Katie Couric, and this subject came up again, and she seemed more irritated about how the texts came out than she did about the content of them. Let me play you South 36.
He wrote some texts, and they were released basically advocating for political violence against his opponent. And the Democrats in your state and other states, I understand, have renounced his rhetoric, but they have not called for him to drop out of the race. And I'm just curious, why is that?
I think there's a couple elements here, and I'll speak broadly, but also reflecting my own opinions. These texts are years old, and so they have been held for years and not released over the summer, where it would have been a valuable bit of information for voters to have. There could have been a different name put on the ballot. And so people can choose how they view these texts and view, frankly, actions of the last 4 years of our current Attorney General who's running for re-election. And certainly, I make no bones about it, the decision is harder. These texts were abhorrent. But it is ultimately up to individual voters to make a decision at this moment in terms of how they wish to proceed.
Your thoughts on that answer?
Yeah. So what you saw there is Abigail Spanberger is not a profile in courage. And all she cares about is when the text came out. What does it matter? It matters that murder was advocated for one's political opponent, Jay Jones. And Jay Jones also advocated for the murder, 2 bullets to the head of his little children, 2 and 5 years old at the time. And she's concerned about when it came. You know what? What I think about now is that Katie Couric's sister was a senator, a state senator right here in Virginia. And certainly I'm thinking that Katie is thinking there's something incongruent with all this. That, as a matter of fact, we had a Democratic governor, Ralph Northam, and he was found to be either the one under the KKK sheets or the one in blackface, and that was 30 some years ago. And still the Democrats called for him to leave office. These text messages advocating for murder were 3 years old, and we're still talking about murder. And Abigail, instead of her saying, well, we've just got to get you out of the race. No. She says the people of Virginia must decide. Again, not a profile in courage. She knows what to do. So does it mean that as a Republican, we are not safe? But remember, Abigail is also the one who told her supporters, let your rage fuel you. What rage, Abigail? And fuel what, Abigail? And against whom or to what end, Abigail? You're running to be governor. These people who say, these Democrats who say that they love everyone more than any Republican ever could, actually, they don't. And the ones who say, these Democrats, that they are so very tolerant, aren't exactly tolerant, unless, of course, you believe their own views. We can't have somebody like this in Virginia. So that's why you see the polls have tightened. She knows the truth. We're going to win this.
What do you make of the fact that she refuses to be clear on whether she would rescind Governor Youngkin's executive order banning boys from girls' spaces, saying you cannot have boys in girls' locker rooms and bathrooms and so on. She seems to want to have it both ways, because her position, if you sift through it, and it takes some time, seems to be, I think it's up to the locals. Let the locals decide. But she won't just come out and say, I'm going to rescind the order. She wants to sort of pacify. So what do you make of that? And what will happen on that issue if she becomes governor?
We already know what's going to happen. She's going to make sure that all of Virginia adheres to boys being fully undressed in locker rooms with girls, and men also, because it's happening in Virginia, where adult men are now going into girls' locker rooms and bathrooms, etc. And the reason I say that is because she didn't just support that idea, she voted for it. So let's just see what the voting record says. And she's trying to run from that record. So let's not ask if she supports. She voted for it. It's what she wants. And when I asked her point blank on the debate stage, what if your young child, your little girl, came to you crying that she was forced to undress in front of a man in the locker room? What would you say to her? And Abigail said nothing. She had a smirk on her face. She adjusted her posture and, like, who are you to talk to me? Who are you? But that's why we're going to win, because people see the real Abigail, and it doesn't look like she cares.
Well, I can't believe she's doing as well as she's doing. I realize Virginia's gone blue, and Trump didn't win Virginia, though it was tight, tighter than expected. But it's just gotten so blue from all those D.C. federal government workers who live in Northern Virginia. But given everything that's happened in Loudoun County, with the girl being the victim of a sexual assault in a bathroom by a boy, we've had a couple of incidents there. There's another big case in the news where a so-called trans boy, a girl pretending to be a boy, went into a boy's locker room and started recording actual boys, and the boys got suspended from school for objecting to it. Like, Virginia's lost its mind on this issue. I can't believe there's not still a majority who see the insanity and are ready to vote for you and not her. This must be a deal breaker.
Well, some people in Virginia have lost their minds, but the people with common sense haven't. And my policies will work for Democrats' children, independents' children, Republicans' children. Here's what we do know to be true in Virginia. When the real polls are being looked at, and that's where people are actually showing up, because, early voting started way in September 19th. Those polls that are Republican leaning, we are showing up at 80 to 90% to vote. In the Democratic polls, they are showing up at 50 to 60%. So those are the polls that really matter. And we have been winning every single week since voting started. And we are still converting people. The debate is converting people.
Yes.
Subsequent actions after the debate, still converting people. And just today I was hearing about one gentleman. He said there are 5 women who are Democrats in his office, absolute Democrats. And one of them came and said, I'm going to vote for Winsome. And another few are not far behind. So we are turning hearts and minds, because people just want to live in peace. You do what you want to do, and let me live too. Don't want to control my life. What is really turning people, I think, also are the pocketbook issues. I don't want to pay more in taxes. I worked hard for this money. I ought to be able to keep as much of it as possible. We've returned $9 billion back to Virginians. $9 billion. They like that. Abigail was never a part of any of that. Doesn't know how to do it. We brought all these jobs to Virginia. Just announced a $3.5 billion Merck investment in Virginia, a $4.5 billion investment from AstraZeneca, a $5 billion investment in Virginia from Eli Lilly. These are real jobs. These are real families. This is creating generational wealth. Buy a house, get on the path to having a will so we can have something to fight over. I mean, these are real issues. Keeping people safe. No sanctuary state in Virginia. We have found 4,000 criminals who are legally here on their way to some form of deportation. The number 3 MS-13 gang leader right here, Tren de Aragua, cartels, communist Chinese party leaders. They are gone. My opponent, Abigail Spanberger, has voted to keep every single one of them here when she voted against the Lake and Riley Act.
Let me play her on this issue on whether the local police and the state police should cooperate with ICE. This is her in June, SUP 40.
Anyone who has violated the law, committed a crime, should be prosecuted. And ultimately, if they don't have legal status, deported after that, right? That's in the criminal space. But the use of local police and state police resources to enforce civil immigration infractions, not only is it not actually doing the work of ensuring that those who have committed crimes are out of our communities or held accountable, but it's actually a distraction of resources, both in terms of personnel hours and money, from actually keeping our community safe from any sort of community, by ensuring any type of community policing, let alone any sort of law enforcement action.
What's your response to that it's a distraction, that the cops should focus on local crime?
Yeah. Oh my God, Megyn. I'm surprised that you even know what she said. It's a word salad. I mean, where do we even start? And then there's also the fact, she seems so tortured. I was exhausted watching her. Her whole body, it's very simple. If you're a criminal and you're illegally here, you got to go. Why do we want you? And we're talking about the worst kinds of criminals, pedophiles, murderers, rapists. Abigail Spanberger, this isn't hard.
Buy gold and get free silver. That's right. For every $5,000 purchased from Birch Gold Group this month in advance of Veterans Day, they will send you a free patriotic silver round that commemorates the Gadsden and American flags. Look, gold is up over 40% since the beginning of this year, and Birch Gold can help you own it by converting an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Plus, they'll send you free silver honoring our veterans on qualifying purchases. And if you are current or former military, Birch Gold has a special offer just for you. They are waiving custodial fees for the first year on investments of any amount. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, consider diversifying your savings into gold. Text MK to the number 989898 for a free info kit and to claim your eligibility for free silver with qualifying purchase before the end of the month. Again, text MK to the number 989898. Message and data rates may apply. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.